Today's video, I'm going to cover how porn will affect your brain, your relationships, your productivity, and your mental health. And I'm also going to talk about if the damage done by porn is reversible or not, and if so, how can you recover from this? To the first point, which is how porn affects our brain. So there is a system in our brain called the reward system, and this system is responsible for motivating and rewarding us to do specific activities that are essential for our survival. For example, having food, having sex, or socializing. Alright, so how does it work? It works by this chemical called dopamine. Our brain loves it when this chemical is released. So let me make it easier for you. So let's imagine I want this kid to get motivated so that he can study, and then I will reward him after he finishes studying. Alright, so what I will do is I will bring one piece of chocolate and then I will let this kid have it. He will get excited. He will feel the sweet taste, and so he will get motivated to get more. So what he will do, he will go and study so that after he finishes study, he will get more. And so that's how exactly dopamine works. So let's say if we apply it in the real world, let's say I got the thought of watching porn. So I get a little bit of dopamine. I get a little bit of dopamine release. So I get a little bit excited, a little bit motivated. So I go and grab my phone, and then as soon as I start watching and I finish watching porn, I get a lot of dopamine. So in this case, this is the motivation and this is the reward. Alright, this is important for you to understand how porn is addictive. See, normally we have a constant amount of dopamine in our body and in our blood. But however, when we do activities such as porn, video games, anything that releases large amount of dopamine, we get a peak, which means a high increase in the baseline of dopamine. And the thing is, there is a rule that every time there is a peak in dopamine or there is an increase in dopamine, it will always be followed by a crash. Or a crash, which means that the dopamine levels drop below the baseline. And the problem with that is that it takes time to recover, to return to the normal baseline. When we have these normal peaks, as you can see, there is a small peak and a small crash. How low the dopamine levels drop depends on how high the peak was. As you can see, here is a small peak and here is a small drop. A small peak, small drop. And this is a large peak, and it's followed by a large crash. So at a normal baseline, we're feeling normal, not excited or not excited, not depressed. But however, in high peak, we feel high happiness, a lot of happiness and pleasure. And at the crash, we have loss of interest, we feel fatigued, we get more demotivated, and we have a depressed mood. Now that we understood how the reward system works and how dopamine works, it's now easy to understand why porn is addictive. So here, there's this vicious cycle of porn that consists of first starting or watching porn, and this porn will release a large amount of dopamine, which will cause a high peak. And as we know that for every high peak, there is a drop of dopamine below the baseline that will follow. And since the dopamine here is high, there will be a large drop of dopamine. And unfortunately, that drop of dopamine will take time for you to recover, to return to the normal dopamine baselines. And so you will be for some time in this low dopamine baseline phase. And at that time, you will feel demotivated, you will be depressed, and you will be hungry for dopamine. And so what you will think is that you need porn for you to raise that low dopamine, not knowing that it will make it even worse. And that's how you will stay in this cycle, not leaving it. See, normally when we do something for a very long time and frequently, we will eventually get bored from it, even if it is something we really enjoy doing, like playing your favorite video game. But unfortunately, you don't find this in the case of porn addiction or any kind of addiction, for example, alcohol or drugs. And that you find it hard for you to get tolerated from porn, like to get used to porn and get bored from porn. And this is because of this drug. This is a drug called delta phos B protein. And this drug, what it does is that It causes physical changes in our brain to make it more sensitive, to make it enjoy it even more, even if you get tolerated. So this is like essentially the treatment for tolerance. So as you can see here, this is before the chronic use and before this delta protein, the delta phosphoprotein causes any changes. You can see the receptors that are responsible for making us to enjoy something is in a considerable amount, it's small amount. And after the repeated drug exposure, the number of the receptors has increased like multiplied by 10, and so that we can enjoy it and enjoy porn or any kind of addiction and not get used to it. All right, the next point is porn and your intimate relationships. And the most famous question is porn and sex the same? Wait, is porn and plus the, and sex the same? Well, let's see. The problem with porn is that the more you watch porn, the more you're building tolerance towards conventional sex, and watching only unnatural stuff will only excite you. For example, gangbang, hardcore porn, incest, or extreme ages. And even a change in the title is necessary for you to build a context in your mind so that you can get excited. And that's why you see a lot of stepmother, stepdad, boyfriend or girlfriend cheating. So, just sick titles to feed your sick brain. Even though before you knew nothing about porn, seeing a hot girl is enough for you to get excited the whole day. And so this brings us to how porn will ruin or will destroy your sex life. It will give you an erectile dysfunction and libido. Erectile dysfunction meaning that you you have difficulty in achieving an erection. I always thought that having an ED is something biological, is caused by something biological, like a poor blood circulation, because erection depends on the blood supply to your thing. And so I thought that if a guy who smokes cigarettes, because cigarettes constrict the blood vessels that supply your thing, and so you will have erectile dysfunction. But unfortunately, erectile dysfunction can be psychological too, and it makes total sense. See, we get erection when we get excited. And porn would, as I just said, it made you build tolerance towards conventional sex. It made you get used to novelty. So you having sex with your girlfriend or your wife, this will not excite you. Will not get you aroused so that you can achieve an erection. And that's why it will destroy your intimate relationship. It will destroy your sex life. And so there are severe cases for porn addicts, they will pay others to have sex in front of them so that they can get aroused. And this is why I was talking about being the third person view, especially for people who are young and who never had sex. See, their brain got programmed and got wired on getting aroused and having an orgasm by being the third person. And that's exactly how porn will destroy your sex life, your intimate life. Alright, so on to how porn will destroy your mental health. Of course, you will get depression. Of course, you will get self-esteem, loss of confidence, isolation, and there are many more, but I just highlighted the most important ones. Alright, so there are two pathways in order for porn to get all of these. First one, as we talked about the imbalanced reward system, we talked about the vicious cycle of porn, when porn will keep you constantly in the state of your dopamine is below the baseline. And when dopamine is below your baseline, we said that you will get depression, you will get fatigued, you will be demotivated. And another way is that not only porn, but addiction is, there's someone who defined it really well. He said that an addiction is the process of narrowing what brings you pleasure. And so the severe case in that case, so first everything gets you pleasure. And when, let's say, you're addicted to porn, so you reach a point where only porn will get you pleasure. And then in very severe cases, porn will not even get you pleasure. And that's where you reach the deepest side of porn addiction, and you'll get the most intense depression, And that's why maybe not in porn. I'm talking about, the drugs, the cocaine, and all the drugs that increases your dopamine much more than porn. So you reach a point where even these won't get you the pleasure you want, and so your life will be really miserable. All right, so these were the two reasons or two ways on how porn will ruin your mental health regarding the rewarding system. Another way is shame and guilt. And of course, ruined relationship. When your relationship are ruined, you will get depressed and you will get stressed and isolation. So here, let's just focus on shame and guilt. See, deep down inside of us, we know that porn is something shameful to do. It's something disgusting to do. And other than, we know that many of the religions, they forbid watching porn, but even if you're not, you're not taking a religion side, deep inside you know that this is something disgusting to do, and so that you hide when you're doing it. And so every time we watch porn and we finish doing the deed, you will build shame. And so when each time you're doing it, you're building shame. And so first this will make you disrespect yourself. It will make you feel disgusted, feel unworthy of having good stuff in your life. And so you will get low self-esteem, you will lose confidence, and you will isolate yourself. You'll isolate yourself for two reasons. First, because of the shame you've built and the guilt you've built, and you feel that you're unworthy of having good time with other people, so you rather stay alone and stay alone. And the other reason is that you're so addicted that you rather stay and watch porn than socialize. And that's why there's this pathway, which is isolation, and isolation will get you depression. All right, so the last thing is how porn will ruin your productivity. See, it will ruin your productivity through ruining your reward system. We said that the reward system is important for us to get motivated due to the chemical called dopamine. And we know that porn will put us in a state where our dopamine is below the baseline. And so you will have difficulty getting motivated to first start doing the work, and second, to keep on doing it. And that's the first thing. The second thing is that now your mind is sexualized, and so you will get a lot of sexual intrusive thoughts which will distract you. And another thing I didn't talk about is porn will ruin a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, and this part is responsible for your willpower. So when this part is ruined, your willpower will be ruined. And so now when you have no willpower, anything that will distract you, you will follow along. So if someone called you, you will go and get distracted. You have no willpower, you have no control of yourself. You will say no, you won't have this, you won't have this power of saying no later. If you get a notification, you will have no willpower to stay focused and not checking your phone. And obviously the last thing is your time is being wasted, as many of porn addicts will waste like hours on watching porn. First, watching the long videos. Second, trying to find the perfect video for them to satisfy them. All right, so the most important question is that if we stopped watching porn, is there hope to have a normal life and a normal brain? Well, fortunately, yes. This is because our brain is neuroplastic, which means it is constantly changing. It is constantly learning. And so it will make new connection, it will break old connection. But the thing is, you need to stop. It's similar to the tongue. It's similar to the tongue metaphor we said. We said that if you're someone you're used to eating high sugar content, you will taste the sweet apple will taste bland. But however, if you stopped watching porn, if you stopped eating high sugar and you started doing the healthy activities, yes, that sweet apple will taste sweet, but you just need time. All right, another question is, how long does it take to see results? See, to be honest, you shouldn't really care about that, because you know how destructive porn really is, and so your ultimate goal is that you will never watch porn ever again. So you knowing when to expect results is irrelevant to you, as you will have them either way. And the only thing you will get from me, from setting an expectation on when you will get results, will only give you discouragement and disappointment. And this is because people are different. Some people see results quick and some don't. And that might discourage you and making you think that abstaining from porn is useless and that you are the same with or without porn, and so you may watch porn again. Unlike knowing when to expect to see results, knowing what to expect when you're quitting porn is much more important so that you can be ready physically and mentally. So what you will expect is that you will have two effects. The first one is the withdrawal effects. The withdrawal effects are due to the cut of high dopamine supply suddenly. And we were talking about the vicious cycle where porn will keep you in a state of low dopamine below the baseline. And so usually you needed porn so that it can raise it a little bit, raise the dopamine for just temporary. Now when you cut off porn, you don't have anything to raise it. So you will need time for your dopamine to recover to reach the normal baseline. And so the withdrawal effects are always negative, and they are temporary. They're temporary till the dopamine system or the reward system gets regulated and the dopamine reaches the baseline. All right, and another effects are the positive and the permanent effects, and these effects comes after you overcoming porn and after you've reached the normal dopamine baseline. All right, so the main two withdrawal effect is that you will be depressed and you will get tired, and this is because of the low dopamine baseline you will have. But this is temporary, as we said. You just need time for your dopamine to recover to the normal baseline level, and then you won't feel these kind of feelings. Now on to the good stuff, which is the positive effects after you stopped watching porn for a good amount of time and your dopamine has returned to the baseline level. And so your rewarding system is now balanced, which means now you have more dopamine for you to get motivated and become much more productive. And also there is no shame and guilt that were building each time you watch porn, that were accumulating each time you were watching porn. And so you will have much more respect for yourself, you will have much more self-esteem, and you will interact more, and so your confidence will raise. Another thing is that your relationship with your spouse will become much better. This is because now you will forget about porn and you will start to get aroused, you get excited when you're having sex with your girlfriend, and so your overall relationship will become much better. And also regarding your mental health, there will be no depression, you will start to enjoy more stuff, and so no stress, no anxiety, and no isolation. All right, so the ultimate gain in this video was for you to have as many powerful whys as possible on quitting porn forever. And my actual goal was for you to see the real truth of porn. That first, porn is not the same as sex. So when you feel horny, you thinking about porn, you know that this is not the same. And not only that, you will know that it is not worth it for you to watch porn because it will destroy your sex life later. And also, if you're someone who is depressed, you won't go for porn because you know that porn will make it even worse. So all these was to give you fuel, all the reasons or all the effect of porn and the truth of porn, to give you the fuel to keep you going on your journey to quitting porn forever. Before you go, I would just want you to know that I will post a video on quitting porn in the future, which will give you powerful ways to quit porn forever. So subscribe to not miss it. Thank you guys so much for reaching to the end, and I hope this video will have a positive effect on your life.